Hello and welcome back to Blue Collar Bets with yours truly, the Source Podcast. I am your host, Sam Hiller, alongside me, my co-host, Joe Goddard. We are coming to you a little bit late, but as many of you know, that's because we have been watching some madness occur, and the Peacocks are going to go dancing into the Elite Eight, and they will be playing on Sunday. Joe, initial thoughts?
Well, initial thoughts. I'm really upset that Providence wasn't able to pull it through and
Oh, you just had to bring
and
Providence
complete
into it.
and complete that
We
two-team
weren't even
parlay of the
talking about
Peacocks and
Providence.
Providence. Um,
I
the
will
coach
say, listen,
for the Peacocks, Holloway, is quickly becoming a national figure.
he's
Um,
going to be the head coach at Seton Hall next year, I think, almost without a doubt.
I wouldn't doubt that as well. His alma
His
mater
alma
is
mater,
fully seen a lot
they
of
were
his
already
daughter
looking at
in
him
school.
before the tournament.
That being said, how do you leave a program? If you get to the Elite Eight, how do you walk away from your program? And they're not
Like,
done yet.
I don't want to be the guy to say it, but like, you get
I mean,
you,
I
you
mean,
got to
I
get your bag,
understand.
man. You got to get your bag.
I
You know,
understand
like,
that, but
and I'm not disrespecting St. Peter's in any way, but they're also like, it's what's incredible about them is how little they spend on their athletic program and how far they're going. So like, it also, bears, reminding that they're probably not going to be able to pay their head coach as much as a team like Seton Hall might be able to. And they are his alma mater and they are local. It's not like he has to move his whole family somewhere. It's a realistic option.
it is, and it's a more likely chance he'll go dancing in the future.
But
That being said,
I do
I
want to
want to
talk
talk
about
about this one
Providence.
game.
I do
Can we
want to
talk
talk
about this
about
game for a
Providence
second?
real quick.
Before we get to Providence, can we talk about two things? One, what the hell was Purdue doing? You have Zach Edey, who's 7'4" with a 6-inch height advantage. You should be playing the ball to the post every single possession, and they weren't.
Absolutely.
That is a mistake. I understand you have great players like Jaden Ivey on your team, but what the hell are you doing not giving him the ball?
Well, here's what I'll say, Joe. Zach Edey may have been a disappointment, but he wasn't my biggest flop of the game. I thought Trayvon Williams played terribly for the player that he is and the player that he can be. And, I don't think that's a shot at him necessarily. I think he might agree. It's just not the kind of game that he intended to have. I mean, half of the shots that he took were not deviated from his normal shot selection. Sure, they were tough shots, but he's known for hitting those shots in the post. And today they were flying off the backboard. They weren't even close. He looked like he wasn't himself passing the ball out of the paint. This was him. A caterpillar in the
I
paint.
love it. Is that from the book?
Yes, it
I love
is.
that. That's
It
a thing.
is.
Okay, great.
I'm a fan of the book.
I love it.
But he was a caterpillar in the paint today. He looked slow, he looked lethargic, and he looked confused. And I don't know. It just looked like he wasn't at his best potential. He wasn't playing like a butterfly. So I don't know. I don't want to dive too much into that analogy. That's kind of stupid. But I will say that Trayvon Williams did not play phenomenally. Jaden Ivey had a great shot at the end of the game, but we kind of can't brush over the fact that he
Too
did not look
little, too
stellar.
late.
Did not look stellar throughout the game. And I really do want to commend St. Peter's because one thing everyone's talking about is how great their defense has been. And that's something that has kind of irked me because that's the one thing we knew about St. Peter's going to this tournament. Not that we thought they would help them beat Kentucky, but they were the 30th ranked defense in the country on KenPom, on defensive efficiency. They were a good defense.
Not only are they a
Everybody knew
good
this.
defensive team, they're a good defensive team against much bigger, much more talented offenses. That's not
Exactly.
something you can say a lot of teams. They didn't play a single ranked opponent the entire regular season, right up until getting into the tournament. And wow. I mean,
by the way,
way to your program.
KenPom takes strength of schedule into effect. So they were the 30th ranked defense in the country with that playing against them, or not in their favor, should I say. So with that, with St. Peter's, the defense wasn't really what surprises me. What surprises me is the complexity of their offense. And maybe I'm just not necessarily that complex of a basketball mind. I know there are people far smarter at the sport than I am. It's not my main one. But what I will say is it looked like a pro style offense what they were running, with the movement, with the motion. Doug Eddert is constantly running around the floor. I don't think he ever stopped and stayed in the same place except for when he was taking a jump shot. And I really liked the movement and flow of their team. I thought it confused Kentucky. I thought it confused Murray State, and it continues to confuse the top teams in the nation. So I'm very impressed with Holloway. I think the St. Peter's team, I mean, hey, if they weren't done before, they're certainly not done yet. It's National Peacock Day. They got it done for the Peacock. And I am really, I'm impressed with them. And I know people are going to say, oh, you bet against them today. Yes, I did. And you know what? Not a bet. I'm not upset about losing that one. I really am not.
How
I'm
can you
sorry.
be if you're a fan of the
I'm
sport?
not. There are
It's
enough
March
bets going
Madness.
around where it's March Madness, and it's like, man, it's cool to see a 15 seed make the Elite Eight. I don't care if I had 1 unit on or 2 units on Purdue minus 13. I made it up in other places. But to see St. Peter's make it to the Elite Eight, to see Purdue, a team with 3 guys over 6'10", 2 who play starter minutes. I shouldn't say in the starting lineup because they don't play Williams and Edey together, but 2 guys who are always on the floor, one or the other, who are both 6'10" or higher. One is 7'3", the other is 6'10", and a huge body, incredibly strong. And
one of them, even though he's the 6th man, quote unquote, is a former ACC Player of the Year. It's just shocking to me how little talent this Peacocks team seems to have on paper, and yet how they continue to execute. They hit big shots in the big moment. They hit their shots at the free throw line. They give nothing in the paint, despite the fact that they're giving up 7 inches. Zach Edey, though he was efficient, he only had 9 points. 9 points from the biggest big man in Big Ten history. I mean, that's just
in the biggest game of his career.
It doesn't make any sense why you don't go to him more frequently. He was the only bright spot today for Purdue in that first half. How do you not open it up there? I don't understand. We knew it was going to be a great game. We knew it was going to be gritty. No one expected that ending. It was kind of like every time Purdue took the lead, here it comes. Here they're going to open it up right here, and then it's over. Shout out to the group for not letting that happen. Fantastic work.
Well, that's the beauty of March, isn't it? Isn't this the beauty of March?
It is.
You would never see a team like St. Peter's even match up with a team like Purdue in the regular season, even in a non-conference schedule. I'm sure, by the way, that St. Peter's is going to make a lot more money next year because they're going to get non-conference scheduled games against some big opponents. Teams are going to want to come play against or have St. Peter's come play them now.
No, they're not going to
loves them.
St. Peter's. Let's put it that way. They're not playing at St. Peter's. That gym is worse than my high school gym. That being said, I love the energy they bring. I can't wait to see what the line is on that game on Sunday.
Well, it depends who they play.
Of course, I want to get into that.
I want to get into that, but first I do want to say I want to issue an apology. At the beginning of March Madness, Job stated that the Providence Friars and the Houston Cougars would be teams that would reach this point at least.
I said they were both going to be in the Elite Eight. So
yes, but I called Providence the luckiest team in the country, which they were by Ken Palm rankings, but I also called them frauds. And even though they lost today, they did not play like frauds. And I want to give a round of applause, a little metaphorical round of applause to that Providence team. And I want to say that I was wrong. And they kept up with Kansas, one of the best teams in the nation. And up until that, they really, I mean, if they didn't start off the game 0 of 13 from 3, you don't really know how that game ends up. They held the top offense in the nation to look confused for most of the game and not put together. So props to them. And to Houston, I'm not going to give my props yet because they're going. They're still going. So, yeah, I want to move on to the games that we have coming up this weekend. I went by chronological order, so we are going to hold off on St. Peter's until the Sunday games. But for the first game, starting off the Elite Eight tomorrow, I believe, is Duke versus Arkansas. Job, I am a Duke fan, as you know, so I feel like it'd be biased. Oh, sorry, Houston Villanova's first.
It is indeed.
I got the times wrong.
This is a game I love. I like 2 things about this game. I have 2 things that I probably won't play because At this point, I'd like to just enjoy the games, especially with Providence being out. I think college basketball is a little bit too fluky for me, but I am going to ride Villanova in this matchup. I know I've been very high on Houston the entire season, especially in this tournament, but I think Villanova goes and gets it done tomorrow behind Connor Gillespie in his last days at Villanova. And Sam, this is a very simplistic view, but you know that when my numbers and I can't differentiate who I think is the better team, I go with one thing, and that's free throw percentage. And that's very simple, but in college basketball, it makes all the difference in the world. And that's why Villanova is going to go get it done tomorrow. I like the money line at plus 125. I will take the 2.5 points at minus 110. Uh, I just think if you're going to play a close game against a great team, you have to take the team that's better in free throws in the clutch moments, and that's Villanova.
Yeah, I understand the free throw argument for sure. I actually am on the other side of this game. I love Houston minus 2.5. I think there's a key factor that you may be overlooking, Job, and that is that this game is being played in Texas, in San Antonio. I think that's 1 hour away from Houston. Houston's going to have a big fan show out. I definitely think that is a little bit of a home court advantage for Houston here. And the main advantages for Villanova, besides their free throw shooting, which I will admit is a concern for me with Houston not being the best free throw shooting team, is that Villanova, one of their biggest, they have great athletes. I don't really know how else to say it. One of their biggest assets is their athleticism. Everyone besides Gillespie, who is a good athlete, but comparatively speaking, everyone else on that team is they can run up and down the floor. They can make plays in isolation by themselves. That causes them to be able to run off screens and back screens for Gillespie on pretty much every other part of the floor while they're isolating, which makes them very difficult to handle defensively. But Houston is one of the few teams in the entire nation that can handle Villanova defensively. Can compete with Villanova defensively. And they also are one of the other few teams in the league that loves running a half-court offense like Villanova does. So these two teams are very similar in the way they run their games. I really do like Houston. I think they have a lot of talent. I think they've got the size with Carlton at 6'11" down low. I think he controls the paint. I think Tajay, I think his name is Tajay Moore. He's a great winger. Fabian White's still absolutely lethal. Jamal Shed has been phenomenal all tournament at creating for his teammates. I see no reason why he can't continue doing that against Gillespie, who is a great player on offense, a little lackadaisical on defense with his athleticism and his movement of his feet. I don't know. I think Houston's able to pull this one out, especially with a lot of the momentum they have going right now. Villanova had a tough slug it out battle with Michigan, and that does, I feel like that does tire them out a little bit. Houston had a tough matchup with Illinois, but who did they play? Was it Illinois?
Houston, yes, they did play
Yeah.
Illinois.
Tough matchup.
Yeah,
They had a tough matchup with Illinois, and while they did win by a big margin, I recognize that it was tight for a little bit, but they pulled away at the end, and I think that also gives them a lot of momentum going into this next round, especially with it being in Houston. I like Houston at the 2.5. I'm not uncomfortable laying that, but I think I will put a bigger unit size on the money line just because it's March and Villanova is the better free throw shooting team. I don't want to lose this game because Houston lose this bet because Houston is a worse free throw shooting team. I think they can get it done regardless. So I have Houston here
look at that.
with the points.
You went from telling me they were frauds,
Yep.
they're not good enough to make it to the Sweet 16, to
I'm man enough to admit when I was wrong, and I was wrong on Houston. I thought they were missing two of their best players, Marcus Sasser being, in my opinion, the best player who was on this team, and in the opinion of a lot of people across the country. They have stepped up very well. The coaching has been magnificent. I cannot fault them whatsoever. I just don't know if this is Villanova's year. I think they needed someone else besides Gillespie to really be I don't know, in this game, a 15-plus point score. I just don't know where that's going to come from. And I also do like a little bit. I might put a half unit on the over 128. It's just a very low total for two teams that are very able to score with a lot of athleticism. And Nova can hit their free throws, as you mentioned, so that doesn't bother me. I know they play very slow paces, but especially a game this tight that I could see realistically going to overtime, I like a half unit on the over. So I have Houston money line, points, and a small bit on the over. So I got 3 plays in there tomorrow.
I don't dislike the over, but with a team like Houston that I find can go cold offensively, I'm always a little bit worried about that. That being said, I want to just point out one thing, Sam, why I disagree with you, why I'm taking Villanova. They have played more quality talent this season than Houston has to a better level. They played toe to toe with Providence twice. They won both games. Both games were within 2 points late, and they went ahead and won those games. And now they've had a great tournament run. They have one of the best scorers in the country in Gillespie. I just don't see how they're going to get stopped defensively.
Yeah, I don't like faulting lower conference teams for not playing
It's not their
enough.
fault.
No, not faulting. I mean, counting it against them just because we don't necessarily like some teams are just in a conference with worse teams, and that happens sometimes. I mean, Houston, and obviously these teams are not in the tournament anymore, so it looks less impressive. But Houston, they did when in non-conference play, the very limited non-conference play they had, they wiped Virginia and Oregon, who are both NIT, so it doesn't really matter. They lost to Wisconsin by 2 points. They lost to Alabama in Alabama by 1 point. You know, they played tough teams pretty well. They had tough matchups against Memphis in the regular season, but they cleaned them up in the tournament. I just don't think, I don't know. With all cylinders clicking right now, I think I don't know if all of these guys go cold. And I think if they do, their defense is capable of holding Villanova down. I do have to check the numbers on how many fouls they commit. I think that would be the one thing that might hold me back from it. But you know, obviously, if they're like 250th in the nation and opponents' free throws attempted, that does worry me that they're going to keep sending them to the line. But if that's not the case, I think I am pretty solid in my deciding on Houston, and may the best man win on that one.
It's going to be fun. Like I said, I probably won't play it. I probably will sit this one out and just watch great basketball. Let's talk about this game, but I do want to mention as we record this, there are other games going on.
That's why we're periodically checking our phones.
Exactly. We don't yet have the entire Elite Eight set. We are recording this live. Everyone knows that. But UNC is currently trailing by 3 to UCLA, and Miami is up 2 on Iowa State.
That's 4 now.
I want to just
live updates.
Look at that game time updates here from Sam Hiller.
Can't get this from ESPN.
But what I do want to know is there anybody, Sam, that's going to stop a UNC Duke Final Four matchup? Is UCLA going to stand in the way? Are Arkansas going to be able to get it done? Or is it going to come down to
4 words, all starting with the same letter? Johnny Juzang, Jaime Jaquez. Enough said.
I mean, it really is going to be whether or not Juzang can continue to get it done. And
listen,
I'm not watching
in the brief time that I got to watch this game before we went on stream, Juzang looked good. Jaime looks decent for someone who's playing on a sprained ankle right now. Can't blame him too much. But let's get into this game. I think I want to let you go first because I'm a Duke guy, and I feel like the bias would leak out too early. So I want to hear your opinion.
I only have one thing I like about this game. It's the under. I like under 147 in this game. Arkansas played fantastic out of their minds against Gonzaga with one exception, and that's the best player on their team. Did not shoot very well in Note. Went 2 for 11.
Yeah, but I do want to say, just like that game was so fun to watch because he clearly spoke with Coach Musselman before the game, and Musselman was just like, dude, just pull. Just pull. Just every time he came up the court, he was pulling. It was hilarious.
Oh,
and, hey, it worked for them. Like, hey, I'm not faulting, but like,
oh, there was very clearly a strategy. We're gonna put the ball in our best players' hands and live and die by it. You can't hate it. That's what you have to do to beat great teams. Guys have to elevate their play. I think Arkansas played fantastic. I just don't know how much they have left in the tank, and that makes me nervous. I think they might have some flat legs. I don't like 3.5 against Duke. I think Duke is too well coached, and they just have raw talent. I know that I've been hating on Duke all tournament as a team that's going much further than they should. But I love the under here because I think no matter what happens, Arkansas is going to play good defense. They will not lose on the defensive end. They were able to hold Gonzaga and Drew Timmy's team to, I think it was 48% shooting from the field, which doesn't sound like much, right? But that's the number one consensus team in the nation, the number one pick to win the tournament for the majority of America. And they do have
Duke?
two guys
Oh,
that are going to go. Oh no,
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
Yeah.
They have two guys that are going to go in the top, 15. And Arkansas was able to stick with them, play great defense, great team defense, great transition defense, own their defensive boards. I love the under here because they used all they had in the tank.
All right. I want you to look me in my eyes.
Are we doing this? Are we really doing this?
I want you to look me in my eyes right now. Duke minus 3.5 is the freest money you're ever going to make. And let me tell you why. All right. First of all, if you want to go safe and go money line, if you have the cojones to put that juice down, even better. But let me tell you something right now. Right now. There is nothing getting in the way of this Blue Devils team. Okay? I have been saying since the start of the season, and I've been up and down. I really have. I've been saying that this team for 5-minute spurts looks like a championship team.
You have. That's true.
And then other times they look lost. But March Madness is all about getting hot at the right time. And up until last game, I didn't see it. But for the last 8 minutes of last game, we didn't miss a field goal attempt.
Look at that. We're going to bet the house.
This team.
The house on an 8-minute spurt that you saw in
No. That's not what I'm not saying that's the end all be all. But I'm saying that in terms of momentum, that last 8 minutes of the game is huge. And we're playing on the same weekend. This isn't waiting a full week. This is playing on the same weekend. Carry that over. Now let's look into this matchup. First of all, the guy I said was the X factor in the last matchup is going to be the X factor in this matchup. Mark Williams is going to determine whether or not Duke wins this game. Duke has not had a true center, a true 7-footer since Jahlil Okafor in college when he was a beast in college. And he wasn't even really a true center. But Mark Williams is a 7-footer. He got 3 blocks last game, 8 boards. He controls the paint. He allows Paolo to work around without having to be the guy in the middle of the paint. And the one thing I'll say about this team that matched up well against Arkansas is that Arkansas does not shoot well from the outside. I think they shoot 30.5% from 3. And our Duke's guards are going to be able to stay with JD Note and force him out onto that 3-point line because they are quicker and frankly better defensively than Gonzaga's guards were, because Gonzaga's guards were not great, especially defensively, and they have a lot of work to do on that end, especially Julian Strawther. I think Duke wins this game. I think it is close the whole way through, but I think the 3.5 covers on free throws because Wendell Moore and Jeremy Roach are very good free throw shooters, both of whom have played very well in the end of this little stretch. But one thing I will say I'm worried about, there are 2 things I'm worried about. Number one, Jalen Williams, one of the smartest players in the country, takes a lot of charges, can get people into foul trouble, is always in the right spot. Got to give a lot of credit to him. And the wingers, Umude and Audis Tony, are pretty large and don't really size up well with Roach, Keels, and Wendell Moore. So we'll see if that size disadvantage comes back to haunt Duke. But I do think Duke rolls in this one. I also like the under. I do like that bet because Duke tends to the only problem is Duke likes to speed it up in transition when they're going on a run, but they also like to slow it down a lot when they're ahead. And I think that's going to be the case in this game. And Arkansas is going to be jacking up a lot of shots that may not have the best percentage chance of going in. So obviously I'm rolling with Duke. You know that. I also will stay with you on the under. I might place a half unit. By the way, for Twitter, I'm going to put it out as a 2 or 3 unit play. I'm not really sure yet. Depends if I get a better line in the morning. But I am riding a 3-unit future on Duke plus 1,300 to win the title. So I will not be placing a bet on the side or money line in this game for that purpose. But I recommend it. You are muted.
I might have to take St. Peter's to win the whole tournament. That might be my side bet.
That's,
Of the
by the way,
two.
that's my biggest concern right now is that the only thing that can stand in the way of the narrative of Coach K's last
It's
run
magic.
is the Peacocks.
It really is. I mean, it's just magic. Sam, I want to move over to the NBA before we get.
Well, I got okay. You
Unless
want
you have,
one?
do you have
I
one
got
more thing to say?
no. I was gonna move on to the other two games.
I wanna quickly move on to the NBA real quick. We'll jump back to college, but there's one game in the NBA I really want to talk about, and actually there's two games in the NBA I want to talk about, but we'll be quick about it.
Okay.
First, I want to get just your instant knee-jerk reaction on what's going on with the Miami Heat and whether or not they can cover a +1 at home against the Brooklyn Nets, who are expecting Kyrie Irving back on Sunday. What are your thoughts on that game?
So Kyrie's
just really
not.
quick.
Oh, is that on Sunday?
So that game is on Saturday. They are expecting Kyrie to play in this
So that
game, but
game's tomorrow.
yes, on the road in Miami. Kyrie will be able to play on Sunday in the backhand of that back-to-back at home for the first time in a Nets uniform this season.
But he's not playing on Saturday?
He might be. We don't know, but if someone's going to sit in a back-to-back, my guess is he would sit the front leg and they would start everyone at home on that Sunday game.
Well, the Heat, let me just put that banner up. The Heat are at on a back end of a back-to-back, as
Yes,
we
they are, and
know,
they did not look good.
because they just lost to the Knicks. Bing bong. But in all seriousness, I don't think the Heat are in any trouble. I don't think they have to worry. I did hear a joke that they are tanking to get away from the Nets in the playoffs, which I think is hilarious because Spoelstra's made some very questionable moves in the last couple games. I wouldn't be too worried if I'm a Heat fan. They're still the same team. They've just had a couple really cold stretches here and there, which is bound to happen sometimes when you become more three-point reliant, which they have done in the last couple of games. And I don't think it's any cause for concern when your shooters get cold in the regular season. I think as long as they get ready for the postseason properly and they come out strong there shouldn't be an issue. In terms of tomorrow's game, I think it's entirely dependent on Kyrie Irving because Kyle Lowry can really handle the defensive matchup against Goran Dragic, and in fact, I think he can dominate it. I don't think he can hold a candle to Kyrie if Kyrie's playing on the offensive side right now. I really don't. And I think that really changes the whole dynamic of the game with the way Kyrie is able to break into the paint and move the ball around from there. So, and also that allows KD to move around as an off-ball scorer. So I really think it depends on whether or not Kyrie plays. And if he does play, I suspect the line would change drastically. I mean, I don't know what
It went from -2.5 Brooklyn to +1, which is why I'm or -1. So that's why I'm
Yeah,
hesitant to say he
he's
will
not on the
play.
injury report. So I think I like Brooklyn here at the -1. Miami, I think, needs to hit a rest period to kind of get themselves together. Obviously, there's the chance they come out firing tomorrow and absolutely nail the Nets down. The Nets do not have the best defense. I would not say I have a play on this yet by any means, but I lean Brooklyn early. And I lean the over because I know the Heat can score on the Nets, and I know that the Heat defense is probably going to be a little lackluster on this back-to-back, already sweating out this loss today against the Knicks and the loss against the Warriors before. I think that the Nets' potent offense can get some points up too. So I think both teams score 115 plus, and that's probably it for the over.
I do like that lean. I'm not sure what's happening in Miami. I don't think it's a problem come playoff time. Whatever their chemistry issues are between
No.
Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler, they'll be ready to roll in the playoffs. They're both professionals. They're both very good basketball players. Spoelstra knows how to coach in the big moment, obviously. Miami's going to be fine. Brooklyn, I'm not sure yet what we're going to see about this team.
Is Ben Simmons playing this season? Does anyone know?
I would assume he'll only play in the playoffs, but who knows? What I do know, Sam, interestingly enough, about this Brooklyn team, they now are going to have 6 games with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant together before the playoffs.
That can't be right. Is that really right?
That's what it looks like. 6 games left to go with the two of them to get into a rhythm. It does look like there is a chance they're going to play Toronto in the first round in that play-in tournament And that would mean if Toronto's at home, which I know right now it would be in Brooklyn, but if Toronto's at home, Kyrie can't play in that game. So, what is the strategy for Brooklyn here down the stretch?
Ride Kevin Durant. Honestly, no. If I'm playing against Toronto, I mean, obviously I'm trying to ride Kevin Durant, but my main goal is to run them off the 3-point line and limit transition and box out. I mean, I'll say it's a tough matchup for them because Toronto's so good on the offensive boards and loves to run on the fast break. You have to be able to limit them in both of those capacities, and then you have to run a lot of off-ball down screens for Seth Curry and Kevin Durant and make sure that they can get open for shots. It's really that simple. Let's move on, by the way, to the other NBA game that you wanted to talk about. Is it?
There are two more because there's one on Sunday. I
My
also want to talk
computer's
about.
dying, Job. You better talk about one while I go
Okay,
grab a charger.
So let's talk about that Bulls Cavs game on Saturday.
I'm gonna let you take it while I grab a
As you
charger.
know, you go right ahead. As the listeners know, anyone who follows the podcast knows, the Chicago Bulls have been my team for months, and it has not really paid off for me so far, in all honesty. They have not looked good against teams that are going to be in the playoffs. They are 2-13. Not a great start for your boy. But I do have those Chicago futures. I do like this matchup for Chicago. I think Garland, Mobley up against, Vucevic, Levine, DeRozan is going to be great. I think this is a fantastic matchup. It is a potential playoff matchup. If the playoffs were to start today, these two teams would face up against each other. I'm interested to see it. I know Sam is coming back into frame. He's getting ready to go, but he can't hear me yet. I am interested to see how these
Quick rundown.
teams match up. I just gave him a quick rundown of why I like the Bulls so much over the course of this season, even though they haven't really proved me right. They're 2-13 against teams that are over 500 and that will be in the playoffs. But I do think
see. I know. I
apologize
apologize to you about my takes on your previous takes.
Oh,
Not ready to apologize on this one yet.
Anybody who followed my my Chicago Bulls to win the NBA championship, we're sweating right now. But this is a first round matchup. If the playoffs started today, I did mention, Sam, that I think the Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and the Vucevic, Levine, DeRozan kind of matchups are going to be super interesting.
I'm taking the over.
I think Mobley will absolutely dominate Vucevic in the post because Vucevic does not play defense, and it's going to be
he's what I like to call a revolving door.
Yeah, so I like the over in this game. I'm doing it. I'm taking the Bulls. I don't even know, Sam. Do you know what the current line is? I know we don't have necessarily a line on this game.
Let me pull up Vegas Insider and see if there's anything up on there.
Because I don't see any line right now across most sports books for this game. The projected line that I have, Sam, is a pick'em, and I'm taking
see
Chicago.
What Vegas Insider has.
I like the DeRozan Garland matchup defensively. I think Levine is finally going to start coming into his own here right at the very end.
I got Bulls. Oh, I got Cavs -1.5. It opened at Bulls -1. It's already button dropped down to Cavs -1.5. Some early steam.
Beautiful.
On Cleveland.
Take the Bulls. Thank me later. And when this is a first round matchup, I'm going to be very excited to see what the Bulls do defensively in the post. They haven't really been good at limiting teams defensively. They've just pretty much been giving the ball to DeMar DeRozan and whatever he can do for them in that 2-minute offense. If he can shoot, and they can score 130 points, they win. And if they don't, they lose. So we'll see kind of which way that goes as we move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I do want to point out is that the Bulls have 2 game time decisions. DeMar and Caruso, big game time decisions. He didn't play last game. And I just want to say that Cleveland is the healthier team. I don't have a play on this right now. That's why I'm not going into any specifics too much, but I think Cleveland is in a decent spot right here at home in division play in a game they really need to win, coming off of a tough loss versus Toronto. Darius Garland should give problems to Iota Sumu, who's been good on offense, has struggled a little bit on defense. If Caruso plays, that obviously won't be as much of a problem because he is defensively locked down. But I don't know. I don't have a play on this yet, but I would caution to wait for DeMar news because I don't think it's as cut and dry as just a simple he's playing. I think it is something medical that they actually are looking at.
I hope that he's ready for the playoffs because
I do too. He is just also looks so good.
I mean, his mid-range game is unlike anybody currently playing. He really is a player from the mid-90s, early 2000s playing in today's NBA. The player comp
I want to
that
see.
I want to drive this, and this is not defensively. It's not even offensively. It's just in the mid-range. He's Paul Pierce. I mean, he is early years Paul Pierce before Kevin Garnett got there. That's what Paul Pierce did so well. He just didn't have the floor spacing around him, and he didn't have the guy inside to go and get the offensive boards to keep him out of the double team until such time as he could evolve as a player. Paul Pierce became the truth when Kevin Garnett showed up. DeMar DeRozan is ready for the next step. He needs somebody on this team to step up. Either Vucevic has to start playing defense or Zach LaVine is going to start taking over and making some big shots.
Well, one thing I will say about DeMar DeRozan's game is I can't wait for Kawhi Leonard to get back, and I want to see the Bulls play the Clippers, and I just want to see a mid-range battle. Who hits the most mid-ranges? Who can do it?
DeMar DeRozan is on a mission to prove to the NBA that wasn't a one-sided trade. You know, that he's still a great player.
I think he's already proved it. I mean, obviously, he still feels like he has something to prove, and if that helps him, so be it. I just love watching him play.
Absolutely, and Sam, let's talk one more time about what we expect in March Madness here as we move forward. Do you have any last thoughts?
We got the Sunday games I want to go over.
Okay, well, let's do that. I don't see the Sunday matchup yet.
Well, it's because they're not out yet, but we do have who might be playing.
See, it's going to be UCLA. St. Peter's is going to win.
It's a tie game with 8 minutes left for UCLA right now. And I believe Iowa State and Michigan's a 3-point game. To be clear here, if it's UCLA winning this game versus UNC, it's a tough matchup for St. Peter's. And I honestly might have UCLA. But if it's UNC, I'm hammering St. Peter's money line because a first-year head coach in Hubie Brown is going to be lost against the pro-style systems of St. Peter's. I would love to see that, even though I have money on UCLA in this game against UNC, and I'd like to see them win for my wallets. If UNC wins, I'm immediately dropping the hammer on St. Peter's.
Someone is watching this who has no idea who St. Peter's is. And
God bless you.
They go to UNC, or they go to UCLA, and they are just upset right
Ignorance is bliss, my friend, and they will find out soon enough if they make it there. One more game or possible game to go over.
Kansas. Just take Kansas. You're welcome.
You ready? You ready for this, Job? You ready for this, Job? If Miami wins against Iowa State, I think they have a real shot to beat Kansas.
Well, I'm going to be.
They have the offense. They have the offensive guard play. They have the what? Yeah, you do. You called them the most fraudulent team in the tournament.
I did. I watched them play against
Cameron
Boston
McGusty
College.
took that personally.
He really did. I watched them play against Boston College, and I was all over the radio talking about how I thought they were the most fraudulent team in the NCAA, not just in the tournament, in the NCAA. They were right up there with like Texas A&M as choke artist city as far as I was concerned, and they really elevated their play over the last 2 games. Now 3 games, they have a 3-point lead at halftime. I don't see anyone stopping Kansas. Kansas is ready to erupt. Whatever the over is in this game, I would absolutely hammer it. Kansas's offense is fantastic, and they were just held to 30 points in the first half, a little under that against Providence, and 32% shooting. 1 player in double figures, tough fought matchup, and they were able to come out on top. They're not going to be held to 35% shooting again. I
No.
absolutely think hammering the over is the move in this game, no matter who plays, whether it's Iowa State or Miami. But I
Well,
do want to say I want to give props to Miami because they
to
have played
serve
much
that on
better
the
than I
other
thought they would.
side, Miami's playing a very, very good defense in Iowa State right now, and they're very potent offense. They've been held to 32 points in the first half, even though they have the lead, similar to how Kansas was held to 35% shooting, but still had the lead in the first half. Miami, if they get past this game, is not going to score that low again, and it's a testament to Iowa State's defense for sure. But Isaiah Wong, Cam McGusty, they have a lot of athletic guards that can play around there, and I think that also helps out on their defensive end a little bit, but not enough against Kansas. I think it helps them with the money line probability. I don't know what it's going to be yet, so I obviously can't tell. If I had to guess, it would be something like +6 or 7, something similar to Providence, maybe a little higher. Providence
I would
didn't
say
really
probably
ever,
a 9.
yeah, maybe 8 or 9, but I would, if it's 8 or 9, I'm hammering the +9 because it shouldn't be that many points at this stage in the tournament. Every game is going to be closer than that, in my opinion. But yeah, I think we should wrap up there, Joe. If you don't have anything else,
Absolutely. Let's wrap. I want to get back to this UNC UCLA
absolutely,
game.
that's what we're
And,
both trying to drive at here.
and we
And
will be
apologies
back.
to Blue Collar Bets,
I'm going
but
to say we
it's
will
been
be
a
back.
lengthy episode. We've talked about what we need to
That's
talk
true.
about.
We will be back with our official play on that game when we know who the opponent is. But I want to give one last shout out to our friends at BCMG and our friends at Sharp Rank, which is where you can find all of our bets before they go to Twitter, even when Sam and I are ice cold as we are this week.
It's
Thank you very
bad.
much for watching.
I'm gonna turn it up, guys. Just watch. It's gonna be great.
Everyone who follows us knows that they just need to wait for me to get to baseball season, and I'll start doing my share. In the meantime, please feel free to fade us, but do follow, drop a like,
At
and
your own
we hope
peril.
you tune in for the next episode of Blue Collar Bets. Talk to you soon.